Hello, it's one of those days again. So in this video, I'm going to explain something that happened to me when I was trying to help out somebody with training on their dog. And this was not a referral. They had found me on my Facebook page and inquired about training. And they live locally. They live just here in Marina Hills. And they had called and requested that I do a free evaluation. They had some questions about me. They wanted somebody breed specific, which they had a German Shepherd. And so I set up a time and went over to visit with them. Really nice couple, kind of Ken and Barbie, kind of Orange County people. I shouldn't say Orange County people, but just kind of a Ken and Barbie. Good looking man, good looking guy. They didn't have any kids. Their dog was their kid. Lived in a big, huge house in Marina Hills on the other side towards Chaparosa Park. And so I did the evaluation. I told them, that this is how many sessions. We're going to do private lessons. I'm not going to do in kennel training lessons with the dog. The dog doesn't need it. There was a little bit, I could see that they were coddling their dog a little bit. And you don't coddle a young German Shepherd, you just don't. You got to set the boundaries early on or the dog turns into a monster. And so I explained that to them and they were fine and, really nice. And I thought, wow, maybe I'll get a baby pet sitting client too. They do travel. So we talked for about 45 minutes and then I said, well, the way it works, I'm going to go home, write up the contract, and then I'll send it over per email. And so I said, do you have any other questions, that I can answer? And they said, oh, no, everything's good. I said, any other requests? I mean, do you want me to, give you an estimate on how much it's going to cost to pet sit? Or we don't plan on traveling for at least another year. We want to get the dog, integrated in our lifestyle and we want to make sure that, he's properly trained so we can take him on walks and take him to places like restaurants and we can sit outside and that's fine. Socialization's good. You can also do doggy daycare if you want. I do doggy daycare. And they're like, oh, you do? But anyway, so I leave their residence, I go home and I get a text message, which I was on the phone with somebody else from them and they had a question for me. And so I had to finish up with the client. And I thought, well, that's odd. I was just there. What's the deal? So I finish up with my client and I ended up eating lunch. And then I called him back. And the phone number that I had was the husband. And he says, hold on, let me get you on speakerphone. My wife and I want to ask you a question. So I said, okay. So they get me on speakerphone and they said, well, we're not sure if you've ever had this request, but we would like to know, since we're doing private lessons and we're doing it in our home, if you would do them naked. And I said, naked? You mean with no clothes on? And they said, well, yeah, I mean, we would really like our dog to be trained because we're going to be training him naked in our home. And I said, well, since you're going to train your dog, I go, and we can go through the sessions with me having clothes on, and then you can further train your dog in the nude. I said, I am not interested in coming over to your house. And I said, for one, it's dangerous for me. And for two, I'm not into that kind of thing. And if I want to set a pack mentality, I need to have clothes on with your dog. Because if your dog decides to go after me, I want to make sure I have the protection and have clothes on. I'm telling you guys, I've been doing this for a long time and I've never had anybody request that. And why in the heck couldn't they ask me when I was over there for 45 minutes? I mean, was this their ultimate goal to try to get somebody? I mean, why would it even matter if I did train the dog in being naked? I mean, why would that even, because of the simple fact that if I'm training the dog naked, then them training the dog naked is going to make the dog feel more comfortable. I just, you know, and it's so funny because they seem so normal. And I'm not saying, you know, they went into this whole thing where they belong to a nudist colony and it would just be really cool if we could, you know, say we have it. And I said, I'm sorry, you can't pay me enough money to train your dog naked in your house privately. I'm sorry, I have to draw the line here. And I said, I said, for one, I'm kind of in shock. And the guy goes, well, if you want to think about it and call us back. And I said, no. I said, I don't need to be the naked dog trainer out there. That's what I told him. I said, no. I said, and they said, well, you know, we tried another guy and he said the same thing. And I'm just like, then why are you even trying with somebody else? And they said, well, we really didn't like him because he isn't designing it. He's pushing all his techniques on the dog. And to me, that doesn't seem right. It seemed like you were more apt to doing what the dog needs instead of pushing a technique. And I said, that's the way I am. I said, I design every plan. Each dog is different as far as training. I have a certain technique, and if that doesn't work, then I move to the next technique that I use. But anyway, yeah. So, yeah, this is, like I said, I've never had this happen, and I told them no. And I ended up losing a client, but they obviously think that they were gonna find somebody. And this is probably 5-6 years ago that this happened to me, but it's part of my channel. It's like, if it can happen to Tom, it'll happen. But I ended up, they never called me back, and they said, well, we'll call you back if we wanna do the training, but we would really like it if you could do it naked. And I'm just like, no, you know, this is not something that I'm gonna start doing. And you know, I try to accommodate each client, but I ain't accommodating taking my clothes off and training your dog, because that's just not safe for me and it's not safe for the dog. And yeah, so let me know if you've ever had anything like this happen to you in your business or anytime, you know. I have to say though, when I was 21 years old and living up in Fountain Valley, and I was at the Black Angus with one of my friends, and I had a couple come over to ask me, and I was 21 at the time, asked me, my wife finds you very attractive. Are you into three-ways? So there again, I don't know if it's my good energy that people tell me that I have, the massage therapists that I have. And there again, I said no, and I was 21. I'm like, no, because, you know, those type of situations, you never know what people are up to. And I mean, the naked training is obviously, you know, they're into that, so it's not like I would have been in danger with them doing something to me, hurting me. But I looked at the liability of me getting hurt with the dog, and for one, I wouldn't have done it anyway, even if I thought it would be okay, because that's just not me. But let me know in the comments if you've ever had that happen. I just think it's just, this is another thing that you can't make this stuff up. But anyway, you have a good rest of your evening. If you like this video, comment, subscribe to my channel, and I'll provide more videos like this one. Have a good evening.